What's up guys, Josh Blunt here. Thank you for taking time out of your day to watch this video. I do appreciate the support. Fad diets are popping up all over the place, as you might know, and the Sirtfood Diet is one of the latest to take hold. As many of you already know, Adele's weight loss story is an incredible story. She lost an enormous amount of weight, and from my understanding, the Sirtfood Diet was her approach to weight loss. But it's also important to understand that you've got to be careful. Just because it worked for her does not mean it's going to work for you or is even the safest approach to weight loss. And so with that being said, let's dive in. All right, so this diet became popular in Europe. There are two celebrity nutritionalists who came up with this diet, and it became popular because it allows you to drink wine and eat chocolate while losing weight. Now, if that sounds too good to be true, it probably is, but that's what we're gonna find out. What they're claiming is that it's going to reduce inflammation in the body, which is also going to help decrease the risk of developing chronic diseases, and it also increases your lifespan. I don't see any proof of this, that's why I think it's a little bit wild, but that's what we're gonna break down in this video today. So the idea behind this diet is that there are certain foods, roughly 20 different foods, which we'll go over in a moment, that unlock a group of proteins called Sirtuins. And these proteins are supposed to aid in weight loss, reduce inflammation, and also increase your lifespan. Now, I'll give you the list in just a moment of all of these foods, but the problem that I have is that with all of that being said, there's no real evidence that this actually works. Now, when it comes to new fad diets, you've got to be careful because there's not a lot of evidence that's going to back up those claims. They say that it's going to decrease the risk of developing chronic diseases and also increase your lifespan. But again, I don't know anybody who has been on this diet long term or even off and on to where it increased their lifespan or reduced the risk of developing chronic diseases. They have tested these foods on like mice and yeast and things like that, but again, they haven't tested it on human beings. Therefore, there's no real evidence of it. Now, I'm going to go over these foods here in a minute. So I'm not saying that the foods are bad, and the individual foods might have their benefits, but the diet as a whole, you've got to weigh the pros and cons. Is it actually safe for the foods that you're eating? And that's what we're going to cover today. All right, so I want to make it really clear that I'm not saying that this diet does not work. Your approach is going to be different than somebody else's. We're all different, and what works for you might not work for them. So I'm not saying that it's not going to work. What I'm saying is that there's a lot of different approaches when it comes to weight loss. It's about calories in versus calories out. Now, for an example, you could do drugs or you could starve yourself and not eat. And you're going to lose a ton of weight really, really fast if that's your approach to weight loss. But it's not the healthiest approach, obviously. Now, I'm not comparing this diet to doing drugs, but what I'm saying is that there's a lot of different approaches, and just because somebody loses weight does not mean it was a healthy approach to weight loss. So you're really gonna have to judge for yourself. I'm gonna go over a few of the foods here, and these foods include kale, red wine, strawberries, onions, soy, parsley, extra virgin olive oil, dark chocolate, which people love, matcha green tea, buckwheat, turmeric, walnuts, arugula, bird's eye chili, lavash, medjool dates, red chicory, blueberries, capers, and coffee. So as you can see, there's not a lot of options. This is basically berries and a lot of tea, turmeric, walnuts, a lot of random stuff like that. But the foods aren't bad for you. These are obviously good foods, and there's a lot of studies on these foods that suggest that they're healthy and that they can reduce inflammation, you know, like the blueberries with antioxidants, etc., etc. As far as the proteins making you live longer, that's only been tested on yeast and mice. Like I said, it hasn't actually been tested on human beings, so the evidence isn't really there. All right, so again, I'm not saying that this diet does not aid in weight loss. I'm not saying that it's not going to work for you. Again, we all have different approaches. We all have different goals. What I'm asking is that, is this the healthiest approach? And I don't think it is. I know me personally, I couldn't survive off of berries and turmeric and walnuts and green juices, but maybe that's just me. So that's what I'm asking, is that there's a lot of different approaches to weight loss, and this seems like a desperate one. And is it the healthiest approach to weight loss? Because we don't want to just lose weight, we also want to be healthy. We don't want to be losing all of that muscle mass that we have as well. So that's basically that. So within this diet, there are two different phases. Within the first week, that is phase 1. In the first week, you are limited to 1,000 calories for the first 3 days of that week. So 1,000 calories is all you get for the first 3 days. that's where I'm out. I don't think that 1,000 calories is going to help anybody. Unless you're very, very small, or if you're already starving and you're not used to eating a lot of calories, maybe you would be fine. But 1,000 calories is basically, you're in a starvation period. You're basically starving yourself. And I don't think that starving yourself is the right approach. I don't think it's necessary for weight loss. There's a lot of different approaches, don't get me wrong. So you got to find out which one works best for you. But starving yourself for 3 days is not my approach, that's for sure. And basically on this diet, you're going to be drinking a lot of green juices. That's where you're going to get a lot of your vitamins and minerals. So for the first week, that is the first phase. The first 3 days, you're at 1,000 calories. The rest of the week, you're at about 1,500 calories. That's a little bit better. I can see that for some people if you're really trying to lose weight. It depends on your approach. I don't think that somebody should cut straight to 1,000 calories. If they're used to eating 3,000 calories or even 2,000 calories, you're not supposed to jump like that, or even down to 1,500 calories. I don't think that it's safe, but that's just my opinion. All right, so that's phase one. Phase one is going to be the first 3 days is 1,000 calories per day, and then the next 4 days is 1,500 calories a day, and then you're going to move on to phase two. Now, phase two is going to last 2 weeks, and there isn't like a calorie limit that's set, but basically they're going to give you a diet book, and within this diet book, you're going to be allowed to eat 3 meals a day and also a green juice. So 3 meals and a green juice per day for the next 2 weeks. And they're going to give you the book and they're going to suggest the meals, etc., etc. So they're going to kind of set that up for you. And then after that, that's pretty much it. It's phase one and phase two. So it's a 3-week diet. Basically, they obviously afterwards suggest that you include these Sirtfoods into your diet after you're done with each phase, which I totally agree with. I mean, I think you should add the blueberries, the turmeric, the walnuts if you like that stuff. You should definitely incorporate that to any diet. There's definitely some health properties to it, some health benefits. And then you can also go through each phase again if you're looking to lose a little bit more weight. And another red flag about this diet, and maybe I'm looking into it too much, or maybe I missed an article or something, but they're leading with the fact that you're gonna lose 7 pounds in the first week. And that sounds appealing to me, right? 7 pounds in the first week, that sounds incredible. The thing is you're not gonna lose 7 pounds of body fat in 1 week. If you're reducing your calories down to 1,000 calories or even 1,500 calories and you're not consuming a lot of carbohydrates, carbohydrates are your main energy source, right? You get your glucose and your glycogen, sugar storage from these carbohydrates. So if you're not consuming these carbohydrates, you're gonna burn through the glucose, you're gonna burn through that glycogen, that sugar storage found in your liver and in your muscles, and therefore 1 gram of glycogen holds 3 grams of water weight. So 3 times the amount of water weight. So within this first week, if you're cutting back all of those carbs, most of that weight is going to be water, just like with the ketogenic diet. Within the first week, you can lose 10 pounds on the ketogenic diet, but 8 pounds of that is going to be water for the most part, because you're burning through all of that glycogen storage in your liver, which holds a lot of that water. So that just seemed to be a little bit misleading to me, but maybe I'm looking into it too much. Maybe in some other article they did mention that this 7 pounds is not going to be body fat, it's going to be water. But anyways, it just seemed like a little bit misleading to me. That's just my opinion. Anyways, another reason I don't like this diet is back to the 1,000 calories a day. I think that is just absolutely insane. I don't know anybody that could survive off of 1,000 calories a day. I'm not even a big person, and if I were to reduce my calories down to 1,000, I would be miserable, right? I would be fatigued, exhausted, just wanting to sleep all day. I would have headaches, and I would feel like my stomach is just trying to eat itself alive, because you're in starvation mode, right? And that's basically what it is. Your body doesn't care if you're trying to do a photo shoot on the beach and you need to lose weight. It doesn't care about the next fad diet. What it cares about is survival. And if you put yourself in starvation mode, that's what it's gonna try to do, is survive. And so if you're not feeding it enough nutrients to give your body the energy that it needs to survive, it's going to go through a process called gluconeogenesis. Gluconeogenesis is the same thing that you got to be careful with if you're on the ketogenic diet, right? Gluconeogenesis is to where your body is going to start converting it's going to start breaking down your lean body mass for its energy. So you're going to start losing actual muscle mass to get the energy that you need to survive. And so you gotta be really careful with this stuff, because you don't wanna lose lean muscle mass. You're trying to lose body fat, but if you're in starvation mode, your body doesn't care. It's gonna do whatever it has to do to get its energy. And at 1,000 calories, or even 1,500 calories for a lot of people. That's not a lot of calories. You can lose weight in a lot of different ways, right? You can lose weight on a Dorito diet. If you're only eating 1,000 calories of Doritos, you're gonna lose weight. If you're only eating 1,000 calories of donuts, you're gonna lose weight because it's only 1,000 calories and your body needs more than that to survive. All right, with that being said, I wanna make it clear that we are in agreement that these are definitely healthy foods. I agree with that 100%. We are in agreement that these foods should definitely be incorporated into your nutrition plan. I agree with that 100%. There's definitely some benefits to these foods. What I do not agree with is restricting your calories down to 1,000 a day. I don't think that's a healthy approach. I don't think that it's necessary or even needed for weight loss. I think that there's a lot of diets out there to where you do not have to restrict your calories that much in one day and you could still get the results that you're looking for. I do not see how you can get the right amount of nutrients with only 1,000 calories or even 1,500 calories unless you're a very small person and don't need a lot. But I don't see how you can get the right amount of proteins with only that amount of calories, especially in the first phase. So that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. All right, so we definitely know that these foods are good for you and they should definitely be incorporated into your nutrition plan. I get all of that. I don't know how long Adele was actually on this diet, but I could imagine that following this diet long term is not a great approach. If you wanted to test the diet, I'm all about testing. We are all different, so you got to figure out what works for you and what doesn't. So testing is a great option. Following this diet long term, I do not think is a great option. And so what's going to happen is that if you restrict your calories down to 1,000 a day, you're going to go into starvation mode like we talked about. You're going to be exhausted, fatigued, and overwhelmed, and you're basically going to hate life, or at least I would. And then after you get off the diet, there's no real guidance. It doesn't say to continue doing this or that, other than the fact that you should continue to eat these Sirtfoods like the blueberries and the turmeric and adding them into your nutrition plan, which I agree with 100%. But if there's no real guidance after this diet, after the 3 weeks, and you just got out of a starvation period to where you're exhausted and tired and starving for 3 weeks, what you're gonna do is you're gonna binge eat, right? And they call this yo-yo dieting, to where you go through this extreme diet that's overwhelming, exhausting. You don't get to eat anything that you like. You're eating blueberries and turmeric and walnuts and all this ridiculous stuff, and that's the only thing that you can eat. And so you're gonna binge eat when you get off of this diet, and you're gonna get all of that weight back. You're gonna get all of the body fat back. You're gonna get all of the water weight back, and you're gonna lose those results. And it makes perfect sense. If you go on to an extreme diet that you're not used to, right? You're restricting your calories down to 1,000 a day, and you're not used to that, your body's not gonna react well. And because of that, you're not gonna be thinking properly, or at least I wouldn't. So after the 3 weeks, I would just binge eat all day, right? I would just be trying to make up for all of those calories that I lost every single day, and then I would lose all those results. So it's kind of pointless in my opinion. All right guys, to sum all of this up, I would definitely recommend incorporating these foods into your diet. There's definitely some beneficial properties. I agree with that 100%, but I do not believe that you need to restrict yourself down to just these foods. I do not see the health benefits long term, and so I would not recommend starving yourself for 3 weeks for something that there's no real evidence for. That's a little bit desperate for me. So I'd recommend finding something that's gonna work for you in the short term and in the long term as well. That's going to be the most important, right? Get results and make them last. So I'd recommend that over starving yourself for 3 weeks and then yo-yo dieting yourself back to your old self. But those are just my thoughts. All right guys, whatever your approach is, make sure that it is a safe one. If you found this video valuable, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. I do appreciate your support. If you have any questions or comments, leave it in the comment section down below, and feel free to check out those free ebooks that I have linked in the description box if you're interested. And I'll see you on the next video.